All right, so I finished painting most of everything, and I realized that most of you guys on your landscapes will potentially have trees in your landscape, right? And all that little tiny foliage may be difficult to replicate, right? So rather than skip over it and just let you guys figure it out, thought I'd teach you how to do it. And there are really two methods that you can use. One is additive painting, which is when you take the color that you want to add and then just place that on, right? That's what usually what you guys would do, like when you're coloring or like anything like that, right? With using markers, color pencils, you add the color to your image, right? That's additive. Then there's also subtractive, which is you have a large shape, like let's say you have this shape, right? It's like a blob, and then you remove the parts of this shape, right? So if this is the tree, I can remove this color by painting this color on top of it, okay? So that would be subtractive because I'm taking away some of the original color, okay? Or some of the object that I'm trying to create, all right? So that would require me to overpaint and then remove after that, all right? So first I'm gonna show you additive, since it's the most basic one. You're gonna take your brush, you're gonna paint on your brush, all right? And you're gonna use the texture of your brush to do the work for you, all right? What that means is instead of like carefully painting inside of a line or inside of a little triangle or something like that, I'm just gonna tap using the shape of my brush, right? So if I did this, then the shape would be wider, right? It would be wider than what I want it to be. So I'm gonna turn my brush to the side and actually paint the leaves that I'm looking for in the direction, kind of like a stamp, right? Where once I put it down, I'm not like brushing it back and forth. I'm just dropping the color with a touch of the paintbrush. All right, I'm just pushing it down, picking it up, pushing it down, picking it up, okay? And this is gonna create a randomness to it, right? It's gonna create a randomness to it, which is what you want in leaves and foliage, right? So if you have some blobby shapes like that, right, you can cover it up with this additive method, right? So here, that's a really weird shape that doesn't really look like what I'm trying to recreate. So I'm covering it with the additive method, right? I'm applying more of my tree's color onto the painting, okay? Even these little trees in the background, right? I can, using this paintbrush like a stamp, recreate those trees, okay? So take those and place it down. Okay, just adding little points, little spikes onto the trees. I'm not trying to draw every single leaf. I'm just trying to get the general shape of it, right? To make the illusion of trees, right? These are all just shapes, and trees have a very complex shape because of the leaves. The shape, you're really looking at how the leaves form together, right? So this here is really thin, so I can add to the thickness, I can add to the thickness of the trunk here by going over it with the side of my brush, right? If I use the wrong side of my brush, there you go. If I use this flat part of my brush, then it would be too thick. I want to use the side of my brush where it's thinner to really take advantage of what my brush is capable of, okay? So bringing in some of the leaves, bringing back some of the branches there. Same here, okay? So that's how you would do the additive method. Subtractive method is the opposite, right? Instead of painting the tree, I'm painting everything around the tree to remove the tree or parts of the tree, okay? If I wanted to, like if I wanted to get rid of this whole tree, I would just paint this color on top of it, right? And that would remove the entire tree. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I think this is right. Nope, it's a little too light. Okay, so I can wipe that off while it's still wet and most of it will come off. So it looks like I'll need to mix a little bit of black into my gray here. So this is my palette. It's kind of a mess right now. Let's see if that works. So even myself, right? I'd say I don't know the exact recipes for how to make exact grays or anything like that. I have to test it. So I'm gonna take it, test it, still too light, right? So bringing it back with the towel, just go ahead and blot it out. Oh, I used the wrong side of the towel. Blot it and pull that paint off. I'm gonna add more black to my paint here. And then mix it with my palette knife. Like so. And then once I think I have it, I'm gonna take it. So the hard part about this step is mixing the color right. You wanna get, it's pretty good. You want to get as close to this color as you can. Honestly, I'm a little bit too dark, so I can mix in some white. It's going to be some back and forth, right? Having to remix your colors is always going to be difficult because you want to match it exactly. But in all honesty, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be close, okay? Close enough where you can't tell. Okay, so I'm going to test that. I think it's pretty good, actually. Almost exactly. Let's see what the camera says. Okay, I'm gonna paint over this. Yeah, it's a little shiny right now, but once that dries up, that shininess will disappear. So I want to remove some of the tree by using the side of my brush again, right? And just adding more to the mountain, basically, right? I'm removing the tree by using the color of the mountain behind it to create texture, okay? Create that leafy texture, okay? You just have to be careful, right? Because if I go into this mountain, then now I'm using the wrong color or the wrong value, so being careful not to go into the wrong spot. If I wanted to go here, right, if I wanted to paint right there, I would need this color, which I don't have right now, and I would have to mix that. Okay, so just be conscious of that. Okay, I'm gonna add some gaps in the trees a bit. How's that look? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and I'm not really even looking at my reference. I'm just kind of like eyeballing it. Right, trees are random, leaves are random, so it's really hard to get this wrong unless you like remove way too much. And then if that's the case, use the additive method again, like what we previously did, and you'll be able to bring back the tree. Okay, so I may move a little bit too much right here, but I think it'll be fine. We'll just remove that section. There we go. Okay. There you go. Now we have texture in the trees. It looks more like trees now, right? And not just like a big mound. Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty much how you're going to add and remove, how you're gonna make the texture in your trees using the additive or the subtractive method.